I think every songwriter struggles with that idea that we're just doing the same things over and over again and we're not really innovating, or at least we're not trying to do different things than the ones we've just done before. Sure, sometimes we encounter a formula of something that works or that we think sounds cool, and there's nothing wrong with just doing that or even keep doing that over and over again. But I do think that most of us just don't want to keep doing the same thing. And when I was working on my latest release song, Undefeated Prince, which if you haven't, you can and should go check out anywhere listen to your music at, the song's main riff starts with this like A#11 chord. It is one of those riffs that is based on chords, so you kind of get to build it up a little bit and have it increase in tension and energy as you go. And originally I just didn't think much of it. I should just probably start with that riff, I guess. So I recorded the whole song and did exactly that, but when I listened to it the full way through, it just didn't feel right. On one hand, there was nothing particularly wrong about it, but it just didn't suit the vibe. I was playing the notes right and had all the right tones and dynamics, but it kind of just felt like all the other intros I've done before. It would either start with the riff clean and then move up to dirty, or have it build up in dynamics like I mentioned before, and then we move on to a different section, or maybe I would start with the chorus and then move along to the verse or main riff to actually start the song. So I started to think of ways that I could begin the song with, not having it sound generic and hopefully having it be something that I just hadn't done before. Some of you guys who've watched my channel for a while might know that when I'm working on a song, I usually do this like MIDI piano mock-up of the song so that I have a tight track that is always on time to which I can then record my instruments to. And the chorus of Undefeated Prince actually has a little bit of a classical music-y inspired chorus melody, and we all know that there aren't a lot of instruments that have that classical music vibe as much as the piano does. So I went on ahead in the track and copied the chorus melody up to the beginning of the song so that the song would start with the piano and with the main chorus melody, and maybe that way it suggests a more classical music inspired vibe to the song, or at least of that section. And once I did that, it kinda sounded cool, but it was missing something. So I added some effects to the track, made it have this delay that kinda swallows itself in and then comes back again. It wasn't even a songwriting thing that I did, it was more of a producer thing. And surprise, surprise, it actually sounded very cool. And sometimes you kind of have to work around that. You gotta close the ears of the songwriter who worked on that song and those riffs and those melodies and is very passionate about the idea, and instead try to think of what the song actually needs. And I'm kind of a meticulous guy when it comes to that process. I don't usually just record ideas and then figure them out. I actually try to design the song and write it for a couple of days or weeks until I have something that I think actually sounds cool. And then I notate it down and listen back to it and keep working on it until I feel like it sounds good. It's not like I'm unable to figure out things on the spot. I mean, pretty much all of my solos are kind of improvised, or at least a collection of different takes. But just because you can figure out a new riff or melody and have it be in the same key of what you were working on before, and even in the same vibe, doesn't mean that it sounds right, or you feel like it completes or adds any bit to the song. What's your experience with this sort of a thing? Do you go to this thing of working through songs and get to a point where you have a cool demo, but then it's missing something and you don't know what to do, especially trying not to repeat yourself? Let me know. And while you're at it, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications, follow and stay tuned for more, because I'm releasing new songs every week and I'm releasing new videos every day, twice a day. If you enjoyed this one, I'm sure you'll enjoy the other ones too. And maybe consider sharing them with friends who might also enjoy them. In case it wasn't obvious already, go check out my latest release song, Undefeated Prince, anywhere you listen to your music at. And I want to once again thank all of you guys for the support on these videos and songs has been amazing. And I can only thank you so much, but I'm truly grateful. It really means a lot and it really makes a difference. I can only hope to see you in another video, but until then, cheers! I've mentioned it before and I'll say it again. I would do a terrible drummer. My sense of coordination is probably as bad as your average 3-year-old toddler. But with that being said, I am a musician who enjoys to compose in progressive genres, so odd time signatures and interesting drum fills are part of it. And even though I may not be able to physically play those things, I've hanged out around drummers enough to know what sort of things feel alright to do and which ones don't. So at least I try to do something that's playable and not just do one of those guitar player things where he expects the drummer to be like an octopus and hit a bunch of different things at the same time. When I compose and program drum tracks, tracks. And even though sometimes while people are listening to my songs, they may not exactly know where the one is, or at least how that drum fill kind of works, well, I do know how they go because I've made them. But when it comes to my latest release song, Undefeated Prince, which if you haven't, you can and should go check out anywhere you listen to your music at. This song, like many of the songs in Volume 3, are kind of old, like anywhere between 8 and 5 years old, and I pretty much had to relearn a couple of the songs as I went to record these videos about them. And there was this drum fill that I just couldn't quite figure out. As I was practicing, I was trying to play along with the song and figure out how it goes, and even though I was hitting the right chords, when it came to the next section, I just wasn't hitting that A on time. So I pushed the song back and it was just counting and forgetting about the drums. I could sense where the 1 is, I mean, after all, it was basically 4/4, but something in the drum pattern just didn't feel right. And at least for me, different instruments can have different calls. Like there's this video with the singer of Tool, Henriques, where he mentions he sometimes asks the drummer for a ping on one of the cymbals to kind of trigger him to know where to come in. And I do the same thing with drum fills. Sometimes they're a bit chaotic, but they serve a purpose. They're kind of meant to sound cool and add a different rhythmic perspective to the song, but also to guide me. And somehow that drum groove that I programmed a long time ago and I thought sounded cool just wasn't giving me the vibes. It wasn't guiding me like it usually does. And so I had to, again, not only count the time signatures in and count all the measures, but I actually had to study the song for a while. And with that, I mean to like listen to it until it ingrained itself back into my brain again, because I was just very much lost. Now I'm pretty confident about playing it, but I want to know, does this sort of thing happen to you too, where you program a part, and then at the end, whether it's straight after you do it or even quite a bit afterwards, does it happen that you get confused and honestly kind of lost where everything is taking place in and why it is? If so, let me know. And while you're at it, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications, follow and stay tuned for more because I'm releasing new songs every week and I'm releasing new videos every day, twice a day. If you enjoyed this one, I'm sure you'll enjoy the other ones too. Perhaps even share them with a friend who might also enjoy them. In case it wasn't obvious already, go check out my latest release song, Undefeated Prince, anywhere you listen to your music at. And I want to once again thank all of you guys for the support on these songs and videos. It really has been amazing and I can only thank you so much, but it really means a lot and really makes a difference. I can only hope to see you in another video, but until then, cheers! I don't know about you, but when I think of Ozzy Osbourne, I think of Zakk Wylde. I don't think of Randy Rhoads or Gus G or even Jake Lee. I think of Zakk Wylde. There's absolutely nothing wrong about any of the other guitar players. It's just that when I was being introduced to guitar playing, I actually had this friend who showed me Zakk Wylde playing a Farewell Ballad on the Jam Track Central YouTube channel, and I thought the playing was super cool, and he then introduced me to Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath. So for the longest time, I would hear songs like Crazy Train, Bark at the Moon, and Mr. Crowley, and just picture Zakk playing everything. I then of course learned about Jake Lee and Randy Rhoads, and again Gus G as well, and they all play great, but they've never been as big of an influence in my playing as Zakk Wylde has been. And as I've mentioned in some other comments, I haven't really explored as much different music and different catalog of different artists as I would like to, but over the years I've actually had to learn and teach a bunch of Randy Rhoads solos and songs, including some of his more acoustic and classical stuff, and it gave me a whole different appreciation for the man. And even though Randy is again great at many different things, when I think of Randy Rhoads, the first thing that comes into my mind is actually this chord. Well, I said chord and then played a bunch of different chords, but you get the vibe, especially because this first chord, an A sharp 11, is a chord that you can play in many other different shapes. But when I think of a sharp 11 chord, this is the shape that I immediately go towards, and this one in specific, in A, always reminds me of Randy Rhoads. And I think it will probably always remind me of Randy Rhoads. And as you guys know, a cool way to figure out riffs and different songs is to look at different chord shapes and try to modify them as you go, and figure out all these different ways to voice lead into different chords. So when it comes to my latest release song, Undefeated Prince, which if you haven't, you can and should go check out anywhere you listen to your music at, throughout the song there are multiple riffs that feature chords like this, and even some diminished chords, which of course Randy also liked to use. And even the chorus of the song has a more classical music inspired vibe, or at least the melody does. When I think of Undefeated Prince, even though I wasn't particularly influenced by Randy, like I wasn't trying to get that Randy sound, and I wasn't trying to do an homage to him or anything like that, every time I play the song or I think about the song, because of all these different chord shapes and all the techniques and vibes that the song has, I kinda just picture Randy. Which maybe is kind of weird. So I'm doing this video also to ask, does this sort of a thing happen to you too? Where you do a song and you just immediately visualize a specific guitar player or musician when it comes to that song, even though maybe you don't listen to that artist too much or you weren't actively trying to focus on their vibe and style? Let me know. And while you're at it, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications, follow and stay tuned for more, because I'm releasing new songs every week and I'm releasing new videos every day, twice a day. If you enjoyed this one, I'm sure you'll enjoy the other ones too. And hey, perhaps even share them with a friend who might also enjoy them. In case it wasn't obvious already, go check out my latest release song, Undefeated Prince, anywhere you listen to your music at. I want to once again thank all of you guys so much for all the support in these songs and videos. It really has been amazing, and I can only thank you guys so much, but it really means a lot and really makes a difference. With that being said, I can only hope to see you in another video, but until then, cheers! I really like to dabble with like chromatic harmony and melodies and try to sometimes add these notes to chords that perhaps shouldn't be in there, or even use different notes as transitions between chords that again aren't diatonic or aren't in the scale, but add a different level of spice to a song. And one of the ways I like to do that is with line cliches. There are different terms for what it actually means, but the most simple way to explain it is in songs like maybe Something by the Beatles, where it has an A minor chord, and then you take that root, the A, and you descend it by half steps. So you go from A, G sharp, G, F sharp, and you can just keep going until you're satisfied, or perhaps you could just keep going until you go back to your A. Each different note adds a little bit of a different spice, which again may or may not be something that you're looking for, and if you mix it in with counterpoint, so like as one part of the harmony goes down, maybe the other one can go up. Like, I don't know, maybe this song that perhaps you've heard somewhere, I'm not really sure where it's from. And if we take a look to my latest release song, Undefeated Prince, which if you haven't, you can and should go check out anywhere you listen to your music at, that song features heavily an A sharp 11 chord. And while I was trying to think of ways that I could use this chord, I tried switching some of the inversions up, like maybe having it be an A7 sharp 11, then maybe do the 6th, the flat 6th, all these different combinations that actually sound pretty cool depending on the sort of tension that you want to give to the song. Like one of them goes, while the other one goes, and since sharp 11 chords kind of give you that more Lydian-ish vibe, by adding all these sorts of chromatic notes here and there, you can kind of think of it as giving the song a little bit of the flavor of different scales that maybe feature all of those notes, or you can think of them as variations on the Lydian scale, like maybe you start with regular Lydian, or then maybe you go for Lydian dominant, and when you add that flat 6 in there, it might give the song a little bit more of that augmented vibe. And all these different theoretical concepts are kind of cool, at least to me they are, but deep down you should just keep doing these things if they sound cool to you. But at the same time, if they sound good to you, wouldn't you want to know how they work and why they work? I then took those shapes in A, and move them to D, and it works kind of like a blues. You start on the 1 chord, you move to the 4 chord. You kind of need to have a 5 chord, then go back to your 1 chord, but that 5 chord can be a bunch of different things and substituted in different ways, which maybe you should check the song in order to figure out what it is. In fact, here's a little bit of how the song actually turned out to sound like. Tell me, are you into chromatic notes and these line cliches and working with different chords that maybe you shouldn't have some of those notes, but then you figure it out along the way and actually end up with something that's really cool? Let me know. And while you're at it, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications, follow and stay tuned for more because I'm releasing new songs every week and I'm releasing new videos every day, twice a day. If you enjoyed this one, I'm sure you'll enjoy the other ones too. And perhaps even share them with a friend who might also enjoy them. In case it wasn't obvious already, go check out my latest release song, Undefeated Prince, anywhere you listen to your music app. And I want to once again thank you guys. The support on these videos and songs has just been amazing, and I can only thank you guys so much, but it really means a lot and really makes a difference. I can only hope to see you in another video, but until then, cheers! Do we all have a phase where we want to be like Guthrie Govan and be proficient in every single guitar skill and every single music genre? Or was that just me? I still remember being a teenager and hearing Guthrie Govan for the first time and be like, this dude is a pretty cool guitar player. And then reaching deeper into some of his older videos and deeper catalog and figure out that Guthrie is probably the world's best guitar player. And yeah, I know that's subjective, but let's be honest. If we had to send one guitar player to defend the entirety of Earth against like an alien invasion, Guthrie would probably be our best choice. But you can always let me know in the comments how wrong I am. And like I mentioned before, of all the very things that make Guthrie amazing, being proficient with every single technique, like I do mean every single technique. He can play slap, he can play slide, he does these like pedal steel bends and weird Marty Friedman bends. He's also great at the tech side of things and figuring out new songs, and I've certainly learned a lot from Guthrie, including learning a bunch of different techniques. I did think to myself, I'll practice every single technique, I'll be proficient at all the techniques and be an amazing guitar player. But as you mature as a musician, there are just some things that aren't quite your thing, whether it has to be with the tone of a specific technique. Like I really like techniques that give me a more percussive and defined sound. Like if there's an arpeggio to play, I'm much more likely to play that arpeggio all picked, whether that's with sweep picking or even maybe alternate picking. I can do techniques like legato, but it's just not my thing, it's not my sort of a sound. But I like to explore these different techniques because sometimes it's kind of required to not only play specific stuff, like some licks are just kind of tortuous to play all alternate picking if you don't add some hammer-ons and pull-offs here and there. So I do end up using legato at least to some extent, but when it comes to tapping, it was just never my thing. I know Guthrie likes to do those arpeggios where you do them with octaves, but compared to the sound of doing it all picked, I always just prefer the second one. But I always had this innate feeling of, who knows, maybe I'll do a song where it fits the vibe and I'll actually do some tapping. And even though it took a while, it did happen when it came to my latest release song, Undefeated Prince, which if you haven't, you can and should go check out anywhere to listen to your music at. There's this like pseudo breakdown-ish bridge section near the end of the song where I'm doing these arpeggios within an odd time signature. And at first I was just going to solo over them like I usually do, but as I was trying to figure out ideas, it just didn't really fit the vibe to just do a regular solo. Not only because it was over an odd time signature, and solos over odd time signatures, at least in my opinion, have to be done over some sort of melodic chord progression, because otherwise it just becomes too chaotic. But since it was also a section that was supposed to be slow and then build up into something neat, I thought maybe I could just do a riff over it. So I then looked at those chords and figured out some arpeggios to it. And since those chords are pretty close by, the arpeggios are also pretty close by. And as we moved through the chorus, I kind of wanted to keep those same shapes around, which made it so that, as most guitar players know, when you're in the studio and you do something and it sounds cool, you just keep it in. But then when you actually have to figure out how to play it live, it becomes a little bit of a struggle. But I kind of figured out my way around these stretches. When we get to a later section, when we have this like F sharp 11 chord, when we have this G11 chord, I kind of just have to be mentally prepared to go from some of these smaller shapes to some of these bigger shapes. And even in the recording, I think I could probably play it better, but hey, I don't really play tapping all the time, and this is just one of many songs, so I think I can afford myself to be a little bit sloppy. Oh, and in the context of the song, it sounds something like this. Are you one of those guitar players that really focuses on technique and really likes to get everything down, and is tapping something that you focus on a lot? Or are you more like me and you like the more defined and percussive techniques? Let me know. And while you're at it, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications, follow and stay tuned for more, because I'm releasing new songs every week, and I'm releasing new videos every day, twice a day, about said songs. If you enjoyed this one, I'm sure you'll enjoy the other ones too. And perhaps even share them with a friend who might also enjoy them. In case it wasn't obvious already, go check out my latest release song, Undefeated Prince, anywhere you listen to your music app. And I want to once again thank all of you guys for the support on these songs and videos. It really has been amazing, and I can only thank you guys so much, but it really means a lot and it really makes a difference. I can only hope to see you in another video, but until then, cheers! I recently released a song called Undefeated Prince, which if you haven't, you can and should go check out anywhere you listen to your music at. And even on my YouTube channel, there's a full playthrough / music video, which you can also go check out. I want to once again thank all of you guys for the support in these videos and songs. It really has been amazing. I can only thank you guys so much, but it really means a lot and it really makes a difference. But hey, just because we're done with this one, it doesn't mean we're over. I'm releasing new songs every single week, and I'm releasing new videos every day, twice a day, about said songs. If you enjoyed any of them, I'm sure you'll like all the other ones too. And hey, perhaps even share them with a friend who might also enjoy them. I can only hope to see you in another video, but until then, leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications, follow and stay tuned for more, and yeah, cheers!